residents and business owners. Gina, what's wrong?
The first thing I would do would be to convene a District 5 leadership meeting. I've been doing those meetings, bringing in experts in development, education, and business for years now. And what it does is it brings people together and educates them on things like zoning, on things like the importance of engagement, and how to make City Hall work for you. That's one thing I would do. The other I would do would be to convene a meeting with people who serve on the boards or who want to serve on boards, so that we can have the best representation we can on boards. Those are my top two.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Jackson?
I would meet with people in the community to see what their needs are. If I'm going to serve the people, I need to know how they feel, what's going on with them, so that I can better represent them as the city council. The next thing I would do would meet with small business owners to see what can I do to help their businesses flourish in District 5.
Very good. Ms. Jackson?
Thank you. The first thing I would do is continue this $1.2 billion bond our school district has. We've delivered over 50% east of 35, and we have to continue that work. I want to make sure that I meet with everyone, and everyone is behind this bond and realizes what a benefit it has been from the teaching and learning center, Eastern Hills High School, and Holland High School. The second thing is begin neighborhood meetings in the schools and increase parent engagement. That's what we have to do right now. And East Fort Worth, better than any neighborhood, will deliver on parent and family community engagement. We always come here with very good time. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Ms. James? We've got three microphones, so y'all, I'll leave it to you to manage that arrangement. Go ahead, ma'am.
My first thing would be to make sure that you enforce more parental involvement within the community itself. And then partner with the schools with trying to get them involved with the business. A lot of our kids use internships or opportunities to learn about the businesses as well. Some of our kids are interested in starting their own businesses. And so this will give them more of a hands-on experience to be able to have that relationship with business within the inside area, to be able to do that connection.
Very good, thank you. Mr. March?
Yes, the first thing I do is most definitely get to know the community more on a more personal level and listen to what their needs are. As a trustee, I will make sure that they are being met. And so I want to build a relationship with them. And I also want to involve parents. I think parental involvement is super important. As soon as we get parents on board with students, then I can see that the problems and more lies there and a better look at academics when parents are involved. So those are my top two priorities.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you so much for having this and having us. Really do appreciate it. People invested to be even willing to hear from all of us about what we want to do, right? We want to represent you all. We have to be here to be able to speak to you all and hear from you more so to speak to you. First thing out the gate, May 7th, when this election is over, is I'm doing absolutely nothing. Going back to my wife and kids, and I'm actually going to make amends and tell them thank you with a lot of great minutes. That's what I'm doing. Immediately after that, I would love to say I'm doing something so great. I'm going to continue to govern. We are on a fantastic path with Forward High School. We have a wonderful leader in place now, Dr. Ramsey. We have a board culture that we put in place now where we're focused on the proper things. Get back in there and keep governing. So it's nothing so brand new or no new initiative to plug or anything like that. Keep going to work. The people who decided I get good back in there, I got to do what they let me do.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron.
Yes, well, thank you all for having me, inviting us to this luncheon and giving us an opportunity to introduce ourselves. The first thing I would do would be what some others have said. District 11 is a brand new district. We're starting from scratch. So I would immediately pull all of the neighborhood leaders, stakeholders, residents together from the various parts of the district. So we can start building the district together and see what our priorities are going to be and how we're going to work together. All sections of this new district have a national leadership in place. I'm going to bring all those together and see how we're gonna move forward with the district. The second thing I would do is, again, pull together the folks that are leading the charge for the revitalization of East Lancaster. I think that's paramount to keep that moving forward and maybe advance the timeline. And there's, of course, there's several different agencies involved, the city of Fort Worth, NICCOG, others. I was here several months ago when Michael Morris made that exciting announcement, and I'm looking forward to working on that full throttle.
Thank you. Martinez?
Thank you all for being here today and taking the time to listen to our platforms. The very first thing I would do, like a lot of us have said, is go out to the communities, to the various diverse communities, and approach them in their neighborhoods or in their local community centers, but also provide those meetings in English and Spanish. There is a large Latino population in School District 11, so some of those meetings will be in South Side, some of those will be in East Side. And so to get a good idea of what the needs are, what's important to the community. From there, I will work to establish collaborations within the different communities, and all this in an effort to pursue safer neighborhoods with safe streets, safe parks, and also what the best approach would be to doing that and revitalizing their communities.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson?
Hi, could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Putting aside general elements, what are the first two things you would do, if elected, to improve outcomes for East Fort Worth residents and business owners?
First two things,
Ma'am,
the first two things?
first two things.
Well, I think the first two things is to come to you, right? Is to come to, not just the stakeholders, but to really seek out those that, maybe have not been able to fully use their voice or know the right way to be engaged. To really create a space, much like this one, but sometimes not like this one, because not everybody can be here in the middle of the day. We're really focused on creating spaces where we miss a lot of people that they can come be a part of. So whether that be something on the weekend in the mornings for mothers to be here with their kids, or for business owners that really are just getting started or trying to get a foothold in, but making sure that all the voices in the district are at the center of the decision making, and that it's their voice that will be centered from day one.
Very good. Thank you. This next question is for everyone. City Hall is about to move its downtown location from its downtown location to the near west side. Fort Worth ISD is about to move its headquarters to the far west side. The tourist map promoted by Visit Fort Worth does not show that the city exists east of 35. Would you agree that it seems that the governing class in Fort Worth has no vision for the city east of I-35? And if so, how will you go about changing this attitude? Mr. Jackson, let's start with you.
With Fort Worth being 13th largest city, the city is on the path of growth and is a work in progress. So as the city grows, neighborhoods, communities, etc., it grows. And so our city is moving toward that direction. And I believe that the city will perhaps have a comprehensive plan that will reflect that.
Ms. Jackson?
Thank you, Pastor Jackson. The Fort Worth ISD Teaching and Learning Center was a blighted program when we started. The West Side wanted the TLC in West Fort Worth. We fought until we got 4 votes, and then they had 5 votes, and we delivered that to East Fort Worth. Fort Worth ISD has delivered over 50% of the 2017 bond, east of 35. When I'm reelected, then we'll go back in and we'll continue to deliver those bond dollars east of 35 and set an example. Mr. Swenson made a good point. Our headquarters will be in far west Fort Worth, right next to Friends. Well, that might be good, it might take a little way. What won't be good is that access for people. We will be at the Teaching and Learning Center 50% of the time. And I moved this from the PDC, the Teaching and Learning Center, for that reason, so that people have access. So we'll continue to demonstrate.
Thank you. Ms. James? City Hall is about to move from its downtown location to the near west side. The Fort Worth ISD is about to move its headquarters to the far west side. The tourist map promoted by Visit Fort Worth does not show that the city exists east of I-35. Would you agree that it seems that the governing class in Fort Worth has no vision for the city east of I-35? And if so, how will you go about changing this attitude?
One of the ways I will go about changing the attitude is by making sure, one of the ways I will go about changing the attitude is by making sure that our parents are more definitely involved and aware of the changes that are taking place within our piece. Within our location. A lot of the parents within the Eastside community, and for the lack of transparency, and we need to make sure that they are aware of things that are taking place and the changes that are taking place. And also trying to see about developing reliable resources for transportation to get parents to be able to be a part of the location is where we're moving to, and so that kids are able to be a part of that moving too, as we continue to grow.
Very good. Ms. Burns?
Yes, I sure don't mind at all driving only 8 minutes to the TLC Center, so. As far as the question, I think we need to keep doing what we're doing right now, keep meeting, keep growing our businesses, making sure that all of Fort Worth knows that in the east side, there's people that are prospering, there's people that have a voice. And let's just keep raising our voice, let's just keep telling them we are here, we do matter, we are important, and we are growing. So that is what I would do. And like she said, keep making sure that parents know, especially in Fort Worth, what is happening in East Fort Worth and also in West Fort Worth. In Fort Worth. And so I think just keep being transparent, keep putting that information out there. Let's just keep being the voice for East and Fort Worth.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Thank you, Bill. And in the question, it was what you referred to. I think you said a governing class, is that what it was? Or-
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on who you refer to as a governing class. Let's say having done the term on the school board already, I care if this is at least 35, east side where they want to raise. This is my home. This is what I do. I'm not up here to plug anyone else. They can speak for themselves, but I work with Gyna, Bivens, and Tobi Jackson all the time. All we talk about is the east side, right? You drive down Rosedale, you see development happen, right? You see planning happen over there. We're talking about Young Men's Leadership Academy, Dunbar High School. We're talking about $200 million worth of investment in the east side of the Stop 6 neighborhood alone. And that ain't even touch what is happening over at Poly in the Eastern Hills area, replacement campuses coming. Like, so it depends on who you're talking about in the class. That question is very true for some. But for many that I know, that's not a true statement. We care immensely about what's happening inside. We put our money, our lives, our livelihoods on the line to be able to make sure that people have what they need over here as well. So as long as I'm here, east side is going to be first and foremost, because that's who I am, that's what I do, including bringing my own business.
Thank you. Mr. Aaron?
Yes, thank you. I would agree with that statement that the so-called governing class doesn't have a vision for East Fort Worth because they probably not spent any time in East Fort Worth and may not be aware of the many wonderful attributes that we have to offer. Specifically for the new District 11, it's primarily on the east side, comprised of east side neighborhoods, although there are a number of South Fort Worth neighborhoods in it as well. But what I would do to promote the east side and District 11 is talk about, toot our own horn, which you all have been doing for a long time, but talk about the wonderful attributes we have, our beautiful parks, our beautiful neighborhoods, Ray Street in Riverside, which has become a destination, shopping, eating, and music destination. We have a lot of good things that we can tout and talk about. And I became aware of the issue with the map several months ago. And during the time that many of us were working on preventing warehouses going up around Gateway Park. And I was shocked that it did skip from 35 all the way to Arlington. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martinez?
While a lot of the larger institutions were drawn out of this new District 11, we do share some, Texas Wesleyan, I'm a graduate of Wesleyan, so that Rosedale corridor, we have some amazing open spaces, Tanning Hills, Gateway Park, and I want to fight to build those up, to revitalize our large corridors. We have amazing businesses, like everybody said, you know, one of my favorite restaurants is off of Miller and Rosedale. And so just really pushing for our different businesses that we do have in existence. And I will be that new voice to advocate for us, to push for more funding to come here. I would love to see an amphitheater come to fruition at Gateway Park. This would be a space where the entire city can come to celebrate, to fellowship, to, you know, just be one, you know. Maybe we can have 4th of July events here, just promote us as much as possible.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson?
Yes, I would agree that they do ignore us. Because they don't spend any time over here, but we got great things on the east side. We've got La Gran Plaza. If I want to go to Mercado and get a little piece of home, I go to La Gran Plaza. There's a great bar that you can watch fights at. We went on a tour. We were here the last time we were here a few days ago. I took everyone on a tour. We started La Gran Plaza. We came over to the east side. I will not leave Riverside out tonight. We go to the Post on Friday night, watch a live band, sit at the bar, have a drink. We can go down to California and get some graffiti. We can go south. Every morning we have a different coffee place. Hustle Blends, Black Coffee, Race Street Coffee. On Sundays we got soul food down at Sammy's. There you go. At Sammy's, we have plenty of things to do on the east side. They just don't come over here, but we know what we have, and we know the things that we need, and it'll be up to us to build the things and get the things that we want. Whether they want to put us on the map or not, we will put ourselves there.
Good, thank you. Ms. Bivens?
You first have to understand how this situation came about. Most of our development decisions are governed by the Chamber of Commerce located down. The Chamber of Commerce, I got them to admit on camera a few years ago, they focus on their membership paying members. And so that's why you don't see anything over here. But what I was able to do in 2014 was get a band of crazy people like Tarchi White, Dolores Connor, Wanda Connor, and we flipped a bond issue. We were given a bond package in 2014 that said, we're going to use your tax dollars and increase the YouTube for pre-rection, but we knew we had just as many people coming to handing out a rec. And so we flipped that switch and we proved that when you have the voice of the people, you can change things. And so that's why things are changing on the east side right now. But you gotta know this.
Good, thank you. All right, this next question is for our city council candidates. I'm looking down the road, and I guess, Mr. Herring, it would be your turn to start this city council question. Fort Worth now has 10 single-member council districts, but many would say the balance of power still resides in those districts that are mainly located on the west side of Fort Worth. Many residents and business owners in East Fort Worth feel that they get short shrift from City Hall in the in the economic development area. That City Hall favors the west and southwest areas of the city. If you are elected, how will you form a coalition of council members to ensure that East Fort Worth gets its due consideration with City Hall's economic development efforts?
Okay, that's a long question. I hope I can remember all of it, but I would agree completely. However, one thing I would say to that is that it's now the turn of the east side. There has been a lot of focus placed over here in the past year just because of what Mr. Schwinson said. Historically, most of that development has gone west and to the southwest. Now we're seeing so many resources in the outlying areas, the Alliance area, Walsh Ranch, down in the Chisholm Trail area, thousands and thousands of households going up, rooftops. And what I plan to do is use my experience at City Hall. I've served on the Planning Commission, the Zoning Commission, a number of other commissions and boards, and I would like to bring my experience working with city staff and with those with that background to focus attention on the east side. And I think I'm the voice that can do it because it definitely is our turn to have some attention focused over here.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
So with this new district, I feel like everybody is looking at district level. We need to capitalize on that. We need to work to establish good relationships, and I have already worked with many of these organizations, with the Economic Development Office, with our Southeast Fort Worth, with our Chambers of Commerce, and push for revitalization in the east side and work with the community to have appropriate revitalization, but also work with businesses so that they can improve their storefronts and also consider our vulnerable constituents who need help in improving their homes, who need help in getting just basic services so that people don't take advantage of them and try to buy them out. They can stay in their communities and benefit from this new community that we're going to build together.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
As a few things have been mentioned, there are a lot of projects already starting to come to fruition in the District 11 district. We've got the project in Southeast Fort Worth and the city of Byward going to invest in new upcoming small businesses and those that are currently there. We have to make sure that we have someone in this position that can work with them from the ground and make sure again that the small business owners and those that are there are the center voices of that decision making. And then we have the Poly North American Main Street project going on again, making sure that the voices in the community of Poly are doing that decision making. And then we have a workforce. We have a workforce in District 11 and on the east side that are ready to be trained so that we can attract jobs over here too. And we have everything that we need to get these things going. We just have to make sure that we have the right advocate in the position to push that through for all of us.
Thank you, Ms. Bivens.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Fort Worth now has 10 single-member council districts, but many would say that the balance of power still resides in those districts that are mainly located west of downtown. Many residents and business owners in East Fort Worth feel that they get short shrift from City Hall in the area of economic development, that City Hall favors the west and southwest areas of the city. If you are elected, how will you form a coalition of council members to ensure that East Fort Worth gets its due consideration at City Hall with respect to economic development?
Thank you for the question. I'm the only council member who has hosted a cabinet level official not once but twice. When Ben Carson came and saw that I had reopened a police substation in Capital Public Housing, we hooked his interest. We got a $35 million. He came back 3 more times. And so that started the turn of money coming in. I would also tell you that whoever owns the property is in charge, no matter where they live, in my opinion. I only have one master plan community under development right now. And what that means is if you don't have a master plan community, builders can come in and do whatever they choose and not get the quality that you would get in a master plan development. And so you have to have the voice to be able to know that, call it out, and look for ways to work around it. I think we have been very impactful on the east side. Ken Newell has built 3,000 homes out Trinity Boulevard. We're getting a train station right there. That's not concrete crushing, that's a train station coming. I see the stop sign.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson.
Listen, I'm an east side baby. I love the east side. And of course, we are working toward the end, but we want the east side to mirror and reflect other segments of our city. And so I would work very hard, city staff, I would work with investors, developers, and I would also talk with people that live in the district to kind of get an idea of some of the things that they want to see. Business owners, people who own homes, what type of restaurants, etc., things that they want to see in the neighborhood and collaborate together to have a nicer, better east side. It's wonderful. We got a lot of beautiful landscape. We got a lake. a lot of good things that really makes East Side stand out. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is for our school board candidates. As has been noted in a number of local news outlets, the student enrollment of the Fort Worth ISD has been declining by approximately 3% per year since the 2016-2017 school year, dropping from approximately 86,000 students to less than 73,000 today. Our superintendent predicts that this trend will continue. It appears that students and their families are making choices. What are your thoughts on how the Fort Worth ISD can improve its competitive position in today's education marketplace? Ms. Jackson, we'll start with you.
Thank you. It's an excellent question, and every room I walk into, this is the elephant in the room. It's not a question I'm scared of. Charters have come into our community where we once had everyone went to public school. Raise your hand if you attended public school. Public schools where it's at, and we have to keep public school open for our students, and it has to be a viable option. Public schools also have to compete. This is a capitalist market. And we've done a really good job of career and technical education, where we have challenges. Our charters are coming in and offering quick opportunities and new buildings. What we are doing is offering solid state education that we have offered for over 100 years. But we have to change. We have to partner with business. We have to offer clerkships, externships. And what we also have to do is communicate with families. There is a place for every child and a seat for every child, but we have to keep public education open, and we have to continue to work for Fort Worth ISD to keep our options for students.
Thank you, Ms. James.
The first thing we do is take a moment and look at our District 3, or Place 3 schools. We have automotive, we have aviation, YMLA as well. We have 4 kids just got a community scholarship to TCU. The thing is, we aren't focusing and being transparent and promoting what it is that our schools are able to provide for our kids. So as a parent, well, I'm not a parent yet, but as I was ready to become a parent, I want to make sure that my child is able to have what it is that other schools are able to give to them as well. We need to focus on what it is that our schools are able to give our kids and capitalize on that, because there are a lot of things that the kids are able to get and understand and learn from the schools that we have in that Fort Worth district already, versus having them to transfer to charter schools.
Thank you. Ms. Nevarez?
Yes, I think the unenrollment of students in the Fort Worth ISD is a consequence of what's going on in this district. So as you may heard, students aren't learning how to read, write, and do math in our schools. I did an average of 65% of District 3 is below needs level in the STAR test. And so I think that is the reason why parents are opting for other options like charter schools. I don't think charter schools is a solution. I think public education should be the first option and the best options for students and community members here in the East Side. And so I think if we fix those issues, fix the academics, let's retain the good teachers, then the student enrollment will increase.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yes, sir. So when it comes to declining enrollment, evaluate and execute.
Sir?
That's actually what we're doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we evaluate and we execute. We take a look at all of these things, right, as a board, to see how are our schools performing, who's performing how, where are we lacking, where are the holes, we evaluate, and then, like I said, we just hired a new superintendent in. We're looking at our organizational chart to see how it's going to best affect student learning and student growth. And what we also do is that we give parents a reason to want to have their kids in a Fort Worth school. So that means you actually have to give them a beautiful building that has product. You have to provide the latest technology. And then you have to have consistency in what curriculum is going to look like, so our teachers have a well grasp of what that is, so they can execute it with fidelity, so our young people can know what they're learning, how they're learning. Education has go much deeper than what it is now. We have to make sure that you learn who you are, and how you're learning that. You evaluate and execute, and this is precisely what we're doing.
Thank you. The next question is for everyone. We'll start with you on this, Ms. James. All of you are running for positions in districts where, if not a majority, perhaps a plurality of the households have Spanish as their primary language. Would you please tell us, number one, whether or not you speak Spanish yourself? And number two, whether or not you will hire a Spanish-speaking aide if you are elected. Ms. James, we'll start with you.
I am not a Spanish speaking person, but what I would do is we have incredible apps in which we can translate English to Spanish. And we have kids who looking for community service hours or looking for internship opportunities in which they can come in and translate if need be for me or for others if that's needed. And I wouldn't mind making sure to make sure that I have literature in both English and Spanish to make everything is accessible for everyone. Like I said before, transparency is key. So making sure that our Hispanic Latino community is able to understand what it is that we're putting out there, and making sure the parents are being able to be involved in those.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant.
Sí, hablo español. Spanish is my first language, actually. I think it is super important that we can relate to the culture of the community in District 3. It is super important that parents, including my family, that they understand what is happening in the world with ISD. Recently, it's been an issue that parents don't show up to board meetings because they don't understand what's going on. That is something I'm willing to fight for. Let's make sure that the Hispanic and Latino community is being informed, because they do matter and their voice should be heard despite the language barrier. So I am 100% for getting the Spanish aid. Let's build relationships with all of our community, not just the English speaking community, and let's just build that relationship and make sure things are accessible to them. Let's meet them where they're at. Let's make sure that their needs are being understood and being met.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
Yes, sir. No, I do not speak Spanish at all. Actually, I did pretty well with Spanish in school, unfortunately, but I made it. And to the second question, will I be hiring a Spanish speaking aide? Absolutely not. Y'all don't know, school boards don't get paid, so I don't got no money to hire nobody. But what we do is that we make sure the translation is before, and even talking about our transitional leadership, when we were doing the hiring process. That was so important to us, is that we had all of our families, all of our families was going to be able to access someone that they could really relate to. And we found that in our new leadership group, in which we were able to bring in. So it's important to us as a board. It's definitely important for us in District 3 and on the east side, because we understand who it is that we're serving over here, and they deserve to be able to know and communicate to well exactly what's happening within their schools, within their district, and their city. So we will absolutely continue to make sure those translation services are available at all times.
Thank you, Mr. Herring.
Yes, thank you. No, I'm not a Spanish speaker. But when I'm elected, my city council staff, the district director, and the other staff person, that will be the primary job requirement, is that they be bilingual. It's very important. It's vitally important to reaching those folks who are more fluent in speaking Spanish than they are in English. I also make sure that we continue to have materials that are available in both languages, so that no one is being shortchanged on the information they receive from the city. And when I'm out in the district and having meetings and pulling residents together, I'll be sure, make sure that I have a Spanish speaker with me to address any concerns or make sure that everybody is able to understand what is going on. So,
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
So I am the proud daughter of Mexican immigrants. Spanish was my first language, so I can read and write it. But I would prefer to have an aide that is bilingual. I know Vietnamese is also an option, so I would consider that too. Any materials will be in English and Spanish. Any communication will be in English and Spanish. And at any events, town halls, resource fairs, I will ensure that there is staff available that speak Spanish. But of course, in most of my presentations, I will present in English and Spanish because I can do the job. And just being somebody that is bilingual, I will be able to reach out to all corners of this district and reach those individuals who may once have not been active, but now that they have somebody that looks like that, that speaks their language, can express their concerns, can come forward with any issues they might have, and we can best serve the community at large.
Good, thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Sí, soy una latina muy orgullosa. So, postulando para ser la primera latina a servir en el Consejo Municipal. So what I said was I'm a proud Latina, and I am running because I want to be the first Hispanic Latino woman to ever serve on board city council. So, yes, materials in Spanish, and materials in other languages, but also making sure that we have staff that understand the cultural differences between Hispanic and Latino community, and cultural differences in the Black community, cultural differences in the Vietnamese community too. Making sure, because they're going to be the ones that do a lot of interacting with the district. So definitely have to be bilingual, but also have some cultural understanding of the way that our different groups of people interact, the way that they come to meetings, or the way that they're unable to get there, and all those things in between.
Thank you. Ms. Bivens?
No, I don't. Yes, I will.
Please watch the timer, Ms. Bivens. Mr. Jackson?
She didn't give me time to give her the microphone out. Yes, no. All right. What's the question again? Cause you didn't show it up.
All of you are running to represent districts where either the majority or a large plurality of the households primarily speak Spanish. We'd like to know if number one, you speak Spanish yourself, and number two, if you will hire a Spanish speaking aide if you are elected.
No, I don't speak Spanish. I know conversation and Quito. I said that right. But yes, I would. I think that everybody who lives in the community is very, very important and deserves equal rights. So yes,
Thank you. Ms. Jackson?
And I have some of the mayor pro tem's time. That's what, we have in District 2, where I'm blessed to represent 95% economically disadvantaged, 55% English language learners. However, the district is 66% Hispanic. The first night in 2017 that I was board president, a gentleman came down to speak. He was crying, he was upset, and he spoke only Spanish. And I realized the board president before me spoke Spanish, and the superintendent did. That night, we began translation services. Boom, just like that. So yes, I believe in translation services. Every meeting that we have, the community has a translator present. Many times they are not needed. That's where the challenge is. We have to get people out that speak Spanish and let them know our campuses are safe. They need to know that our campuses welcome them. And most importantly, that we want to hear their ideas. We want that innovation. So yes, I believe in hiring someone. Again, we're not paid. So
James? Oh, did you start? I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. Next question. This is for everyone, and we'll start with Ms. Morris. Given the time commitment necessary to be an effective council member or school trustee, we would like to know what your day job is. And if you are elected, if you will be able to keep your day job and make the necessary time commitment to be an effective representative of your district.
Sure.
My day job, I do property management in my family small business here in the east side. And so they've been very patient with me with this whole campaign thing going on. But I think it is worth doing this. It is worth cutting hours. But as soon as I am elected, I will make sure that my priorities in my community, in my district, and I will guarantee that whatever I put into Lower Lights will benefit all of us, small business owners here in the east side. So I'm very excited to make that a priority that will benefit not only the students, but us as business owners. And yes, that is what my schedule looks like, and I am very excited to have a normal routine.
Very good. Mr. Phillips?
Get elected, you're not getting a normal routine. You can throw that out the window real quick. I've already had a term in doing this. And so I've already given my life over to it. And it's the reason why I said earlier in my early answer, trying not to get emotional. It's the reason why I said on May 7th, when this election is over, I'm going back to my wife and my kids, and we're not doing anything, is because they have to sacrifice a lot for me to be able to be in this. There's things I miss a lot. But they're willing to do that because they know what we're doing. And the thing is, I got two boys that they are phenomenal and they're going to do it. But there's so many other kids in our district that are not going to do as well as my children, unless someone is willing to be there to help them to do as well as my children are able to do. And so, yeah, I've already made that sacrifice of giving my life over to service of my people, service of my district, my city, the place I love. I'm going to continue to do that. I have horrible time management. I don't even know how I'm here right now. I'm here. So I'll continue to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Herring?
Keep looking the other way for that mic, it's right here. Yes, I do have a day job. I work full-time for Principal Financial Group. I've been in the 401k plan industry for 38 years. When I was at Texas Wesleyan, working my way through college, I had a full-time job and started off with what was in Fort Worth National when it was transitioning to Texas American Bank. But I've been doing that for 38 years on all facets of that industry. And my job has evolved over those years, where now I primarily do consulting for our clients to keep them in line with Department of Labor and IRS regulations. I say all that to say that my job has evolved into a place where it's very flexible. I'm not having to be at my desk every morning at 8 o'clock like I was for many years when customers were walking in. That's just not the nature of it anymore. And when I was first being asked by many people to run for the city council seat, that was a consideration that I really had to weigh heavily. My full-time job versus the very full-time job of being a city council person. I've called on my city council people so much. I know what they do, and it definitely is a full-time job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Excuse me, Ms. Martinez.
So I do also have a full-time job. I work for Commissioner Roy Charles Brooks in Tarrant County Precinct 1. You know, I have flexibility in my job, but I have the support of my boss. I knew the commitment going in. I knew the amount of time that I would need to set aside to be a good council member. And I talked to my family first before I even started this endeavor. And I got their support, and we prayed about it, and I'm ready to get the job done. I already work in the community, and part of my title is constituent services. And so I'm already working and living in both sides of the city, in south side and east side of the school district. So I work with the communities every day to find services and resources that they need. And so this would just be in addition to that. And so I will be able to do both positions. There is questions about conflict of interest, and I have vouched for those on both the county level and city level, and that has been cleared.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson?
Yes, I'm in fully control of my schedule. I have I ran in 2021, and since then I have become fully contracted in my work. So I take the month and I pick the days that I want to work. And then when I don't want to work, I don't go to work. And so I've been fortunate enough to make my career work for me in that way and find, there's a lot of ability for a nurse to do many things in that field. So that's how I'm able to be here today. And this is actually my third event this morning. And so I'm fully divested from any type of money or strings attached to money in Fort Worth. have zero conflict of interest. I'll never have to recuse myself from a single thing, because I'm completely independently, an entrepreneur and create my work for myself.
Thank you. Ms. Bivens?
Thank you for the question. I work for North Texas Lead, which is an organization started by Mayor Ken Barr and a few CEOs back in 1999. What we do is help people find jobs. Some of my candidates are at Fort Worth ISD as a senior legal counsel, that's a lawyer. At DFW Airport, Vice President of Environmental Matters. Encore as an analyst, Frieda Nichols. We have helped about hundreds of people find jobs. I'm blessed to have a staff that allows me to have this flexibility to be able to serve. And I serve not only at the local level, I'm on the board of directors for the National League of Cities, which means I travel quite a bit. So far, it has not been a problem. And my board is very, very proud of me serving on the city council. And so we often talk about city affairs, which broadens their corporate campuses in terms of knowing what's going on. When COVID hit, my board members were Robert Early, Michael Williams, president at GMT Health Science Center, Barkley Burnett at Texas Health Resources. And so I don't have any issues in terms of being able to work. This council doesn't pay anything.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
I remember some of the question. Please again.
Considering the time commitment necessary to be an effective council or trustee member, please tell us what your day job is. And if you are elected, will you be able to keep your day job and make the necessary time commitment in your elected position?
I'm currently the proud pastor of Samaritan Baptist Church here on the east side of Fort Worth. And of course, I will be able to keep my job as pastor. What I do at my church, I'm already helping to service the community. And I'm kind of following the trail that my dad blazed. It was 30 years ago, this election, that he won and became city councilman for District Number 5 and served as the pastor of the church that I currently serve. And so, we've already have helped hundreds of people get jobs. We've given away this Christmas over 2,000 toys, bikes, and coats to kids that need it. So we're already doing work in the community. We've given away cars to single parents and mothers that did not have transportation. And okay, said stop. So yes, I will be able to do so.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
The Jackson connection's got a disconnection.
Yeah.
I am the executive director of Fort Worth Spark, which is a nonprofit, and we an after-school programming through advocacy, whether that's Austin or at the national level, resources and collaboration. I work 40 hours a week at that job and 40 plus at Fort Worth ISD. Over 13 years, I've proven I can do this because I'm 100% attendance at all of our meetings and I'm out in the community quite a bit. Through Spark, we serve Opportunity Youth, which overlaps with the students that we work with here. My daughters Alexis and Zoe call themselves 73,001 and 73,002 because, like Hughes kids, they're going to be okay, but the other kids need some help. So they step aside and then make sure that we're on to take care of other kids. I also say that on Tuesday morning, I was in Austin and presser starting at 6 a.m. and 5:30 at night. Spark had a program at Eastern Hills High School on Rainbow Fentanyl with Judge Mike Wall. So 12-hour days, 18-hour days, it's just the way it goes. I love what I do. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Ms. James?
The position for a school trustee is 4 years, and I've been in the school, I'm president of the environmental coalition. I volunteer, I've been to school boards back and forth. I show up for my students when it comes to their court hearings, graduation. Recently went to visiting one of my students in Houston for a cheerleading tryouts. She was nervous about that. But if it comes to being there for my kids, and I'm there for my kids, even outside of my 9 to 5, which is the restorative justice special. And so I have that opportunity to be in the school with the kids and also still do my job as trustee if elected. And this position won't hinder me from being there for the children no more than I'm already in.
Thank you. Mr. Morris? Did we start with you? I apologize. Okay. This next question is for our ISD Place 3 candidates. And Mr. Phillips, will start with you on this one. The troubles, both academic and otherwise, at Jackett Middle School are well known. Last week, we learned that the ISD has discharged the private company that had been hired to come in and run the school and hopefully raise their academic performance. There was no improvement in that performance over 2 years. Although the situation at Jackett does not lend itself to an easy answer or instant analysis, what do you think is the necessary first step in turning that campus around?
Indeed, thank you very much. So one, I realized I got to talk about my wife and kids, and I didn't even say what I did. So tell them I put them first and talked about that before I talked about myself. I'm one of the co-founders and executive director of the Frontline, as well as adjunct professor in criminology and criminal justice department at TCU, as well as a whole bunch of other things too. So that's what I do for a living. And then as far as this question goes, it's already done. One, I'll push back a little bit. We say no improvement was made. Improvement absolutely was made. We didn't get to the goal we wanted to be able to see, which we had said a high goal, and we wanted the campus to turn into a B from an F to where it originally was. We're on the trajectory to be able to do that because even with the severing our partnership with Faith Leadership Academy, we have found a fantastic dynamic leader with Dr. Jeannette, that is the principal of the campus now. We are wrapping our arms around her and giving her all the support she needs in order to be able to take that campus in the direction in which we want it to go. It's on a fantastic trajectory. We're very proud of the work that she's doing. Now it's up to us to make sure we're there for her in every single way.
Thank you. Ms. James? The troubles, both academic and otherwise, at Jackett Middle School are well known. Last week, we learned that the ISD has discharged the private company that had been hired to come in and run the school and hopefully raise their academic performance. There has been no improvement in that performance over 2 years. Although the situation at Jackett does not lend itself to an easy answer or instant analysis, what do you think is the necessary first step in turning that campus around?
I believe that the necessary first step in turning that campus around is getting back to the basics. Reading, writing, as I stated before, we do have a principal who is more than willing to do the job, but we're performing at 59 out of 100 rating in 2022 and last year. And we don't need our numbers dwindling down any further than what they are now. And what I feel as though that we need to do is get back into schools and understand what it is that our kids are lacking exactly and focus on that. Because we try to get a charter school in charter schools, but we're trying to get away from that. Our public schools are needing more support for the teachers and the staff in the schools. And if we're spending more time doing disciplinary action and whatnot, we don't have enough time to teach our kids, especially within the time frame that we do get to teach them that curriculum.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Menard?
Yes, I think needing a partnership, such as the one mentioned, is kind of already admitting failure in the forward ISD. And I agree, we do need to go back to the basics. Let's go back to supporting the teachers. I feel like I've heard a lot that parents are blaming the teachers at that middle school that was failing, but it is our job to support those teachers and make sure that the new leadership is there to be held accountable, make sure that the admin is supporting the principal and the principal is supporting teachers when it comes to disciplinary and also academics. And so I think that it's going back to the basics and let's support the teachers.
Thank you. This next question is for our district, City Council District 11 candidates. To say that the geographic outline of the new District 11 is meandering is being charitable. From Riverside and Oakhurst to Hemp Hill Heights to Meadowbrook and the Garden of Eden on the far east, District 11 gives new meaning to the word diversity in all of its elements. Give us a quick idea of what, if any, common interests you see that this diverse district either has or should have. We'll start with Ms. Martinez.
So yes, this district is very diverse, but it's also very vibrant. And it looks very different in all of the neighborhoods. So we need to find an approach that is best for each individual area. But, you know, it creates challenges and opportunities. And I want to focus on those opportunities. I want to focus on coming together as an entire district and working to create the model district and pulling from other areas that have done revitalization and not, you know, copying those, but putting best practices that they did in those areas and revitalizing our large corridors, our Lancaster, our Hemp Hill, all while involving all the stakeholders, the community, the developer, any religious organization, any leaders to come to the table so that we can communicate through the entire process. Because when folks feel like they have not been notified, then that causes other issues. And we just want to make sure that everybody feels like they have a voice.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
I say there's three things that are common thread throughout every neighborhood area of District 11. The first one is that most parts of this district feel like they've been left out, they've been excluded or ignored, you know, or looked over when it comes to investments or even prioritizing this part. We already had a question that showed that they face the West, they look at the West, they never look at it. So I think all of us have that in common. We also have in common the fact that we don't have really any big economic hub. We're really having to start, we're having to start creating something, which could be a good thing too, because we create the thing that we want, but we also have to start from scratch as well with these new projects coming. And lastly, I think the thing that we all need is just straight up infrastructure investment in most parts. Streets, coming down Meadowbrook, coming down Lancaster, you know, the dilapidation that you see, you know, in a lot of bigger areas in the district are pretty common. All the Riverside areas still not done, South Side, the Southeast. So those are all things that they definitely have in common.
Good, thank you, Mr. Herring.
Yes, well, I would answer that in a similar way to Ms. Wilson. But one thing in District 11, it is so geographically dispersed. It's like nothing I've ever seen, at least in Fort Worth. But one thing that all of the neighborhoods in District 11 have in common, and something that we're going to have to build on as we create this district, is that it is comprised solely of middle class and working class neighborhoods. And we can build on that, we can band together. And as has been said, these neighborhoods are the ones that have been traditionally overlooked by the city. They're definitely not the most affluent, but by the same token, they're also not necessarily the neighborhoods that need the most help in the city. They're sort of in the middle. And City Hall has, again, consistently overlooked that needs. If we could have a fraction of the amount of help that has been put into some areas of the city, we will flourish and make District 11 a great district. But we're starting from that commonality of our working class and middle class neighborhoods together.
Good, thank you. This question is for our ISD District 2 candidates. In the last 12 complete academic years, from 2010 through 2022 inclusive, the Texas Education Agency did not issue individual school accountability ratings for Texas schools in 3 of those years. In the other 9 years, the ratings were issued. Eastern Hills High School was rated as academically acceptable or meeting requirements only 3 times. For the other 6 years, Eastern Hills was rated some sort of improvement required, unacceptable, or in the case of last rating year, not rated, which meant that Eastern Hills scored below a 70 on TEA's scoring scale. Additionally, in the 9 grading years since 2010, Eastern Hills has not achieved any sort of academic distinction as awarded by the TEA in any of the 7 categories where such distinction can be achieved. Would you please give us your plan on how, as the district trustee, you will help the school and the district devise and implement a plan that will enable Eastern Hills not only to achieve, but maintain TEA academic acceptance?
Thank you for the question. Eastern Hills was rated as 68 this year. Eastern Hills has a principal that has been in place for 7 years. Prior to that, she was at Meadowbrook Middle School, where they achieved many distinctions, which you can see on the western facing wall. The challenge here is, number one, student mobility. The second challenge is the students coming in and post-COVID. That's for the last few years. Prior to that, our challenge was stability in the feeder schools. At this time, we have stability. 85% is the scale score for the feeder pattern of the elementaries going in. We have a challenge right now with middle school as well. So the plan is not able to be decided in 1 minute. But what I can tell you is there has to be a hyper focus. There have to be smaller teacher student ratios. There has to be a harder plan from the administration and a partnership. And I'm happy to stay here and talk to you about it longer, but yes, it is on my mind.
Thank you. This is the next question, the last question before the last question. We're running up against it on time. This question is for our City Council District 5 candidates. In 2005, the city of Fort Worth took possession of and subsequently demolished a derelict hotel property and the 6900 block of East Lancaster Avenue called the Cowtown Inn. The property is still owned by the city and has been a vacant lot since the demolition of the hotel. This land anchors the east end of the historic Hanley downtown district, which has seen much revitalization in the last several years. Since the city still owns the property, what are your thoughts on the city being a partner in developing this property so that it can participate in and contribute to the continued revitalization of old downtown Hanley? Mr. Jackson, we'll start with you.
Definitely, I would get the city's involvement in it. Again, have some transparency with the great citizens of Hanley. Growing up, I used to ride my bicycle through there. And so I would really want some input as to what can we bring to that location that would make Hanley sparkle again. There's a lot of great things there. Hanley, that area has a lot of great history. So with the collaboration of the city and with the people of Hanley, we would come together and see what can we do to really make that be a great location.
Thank you. Ms. Bivens?
Still, technically speaking, I think that property is tax foreclosed, which means the city doesn't really own it. We're the manager, we hold it. When you have a tax foreclosed property, you have to go through a process to allow a new owner to come in. They can buy it. I can do a direct sale. And so technically, we're just holding it because the taxes are still on Fort Worth ISD, Tarrant Regional Water District, TCCD, anybody who can pay taxes. And so once that property does have an owner, I would for sure want to partner with them. I think it's the perfect location for a table service, a restaurant, if you will. But I would mention to you, very close to there, we just bought property to become open space, because we've got some very unique animal life, bird life, wildlife, off of Nosilla, for those of you who know that. And so it just depends on who's going to end up in the property. But right now, the city has to go through the legal process of getting it on.
I see. Thank you. This is our final question. You'll give us a 1-minute answer, which, when you hear the question, will very easily serve as your closing statement. Ms. Wilson, we'll start with you on this, since I don't think you can really start a question. And the question is very simply, Why should we vote for you?
When we talk about our investment portfolios, we speak about certain terms use lines called to diversify your portfolio. I have a unique experience as an ER trauma nurse where I show up. You actually show up with me and I show up with you. My job is to serve you. My job is to fix your problem. And my job is to always make it about you. This seat is not about me. This seat is about the people in District 11. Being able to prioritize decisions on an acute, highly acute level is a skill set that is hard to come by. And as when you're a city council member, you have to really make some consequential decisions. And some people don't get what they want. You have to say no sometimes. So you need to have someone in that seat that has a perspective that will be able to explain to you, be able to stand in there. You put their feet to their fire to look at you to your face and explain to you why they made the decision they made. Not run away from you, not hide from you, not answer your emails, your phone calls, but really be ready to stand in there and make a decision. So everything that I do serves central to what I do. That's what I want to bring to Steve. It's a perspective and experience that's never been on this council before. And that's why I'm the best candidate for the seat. And this is why you should vote for me.
Thank you. We'll just come this way on the table. Ms. Martinez?
We need somebody that will fight for the entire district, that will fight for funding, that will be able to represent all corners of the district. We need property tax relief. We need safe streets. We need safe sidewalks, safe neighborhoods, safe areas where our families can play, work, and have fun together. I have been a part of the community for over 10 years in my position. I'm familiar with the needs. I'm experienced in local government. I want to pour my institutional knowledge, my experience, my skills, my perspective as a mom, as a wife, as a caregiver, and pour that into my community to see it flourish, to make it a model district that others will want to replicate. I want to make District 11 the best place to live, with a better quality of life, with the best jobs, so safe streets, safe neighborhoods, opportunity for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herring?
Yes, okay. You should vote for me because I feel like I'm the candidate with the best qualifications, the best background to tackle this job. I've been doing the work already for over 30 years through serving as president of 2 neighborhood associations in the Riverside area. I've been on the Planning Commission, the Zoning Commission, numerous other commissions and committees with the city. I've worked in and out of City Hall. And I feel like I'm ready to get started on day one. I don't need on-the-job training. I'm not presumptuous enough to say that I know everything that the city council members do, because it is a more than full-time job. But I have a good background to get started right away on day one. What I'm going to start working on day one is, as I mentioned earlier, pushing for the continued revitalization of Lancaster and bringing those parties together to make sure that it's rolling along, advocating for Gateway Park and the area around it to protect it from industrial and other types of uses that are not going to be for the benefit of the park or the people who use the park. I also want to support the Polytechnic people with their Main Street and help the folks in Echo Heights with the marvelous work they've already started. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yes, sir, thank you. I sit in a unique position this time around because I'm the incumbent. But what that also means is that either I served with integrity and respect and admirably the way that I said I was going to, or I didn't. Either I did the things that I said I was going to do first time around and I held true to what it was I ran on, or I didn't. Either I've done the job effectively, you feel like we're on a proper path, or you don't. And all of that is 100% okay because that's democracy. Democracy says that this is your seat and you get to decide who represents you. And you may feel that I'm representing you well. If you do, you support me and I appreciate it. And if you feel like the job is not being done properly, you have a choice. So more than to give you a big go vote for Q speech, I want to give you a please talk to your friends, neighbors, and have them vote. Let them help make a decision, because it takes all of us to make decisions about who's going to represent us. I do hope that's me. But ultimately, I just want you to be able to make a decision about who it is that you want representing our community.
Thank you. Mrs. Burris?
Yes, I have a passion for the next generation. I am a very devout Christian. I believe God gives us a duty to steward the next generation, and that is by what I will be doing in this seat. I will make sure that they are being protected at all costs. I will make sure that they are learning to actually read, write, and do math. I will make sure that there's no political agendas in our curriculum, and I will make sure that we have responsible finances. I think this is a fight that we should all be focusing on to this day, because it is the next generation. And we have to be urgent. I think this is where I differ. I have a sense of urgency to actually get the next generation where it needs to be. And so I am not here to obviously not make any money, not to make a name for myself, but truly to protect the next generation, protect their minds, protect their hearts, and protect their futures.
Thank you. Ms. James?
I want you guys to close your eyes and think of a time when you were in school, and think of the support and the teachers and staff who support you while you were in school. And make sure that you have the necessary tools needed to prevail. A trustee is a person who speaks on behalf of the community, the school, and the students. And we need an individual who is advocating for our kids, who is passionate and driven, and willing to speak against the normal. The person who isn't going to just vote on things because everyone else is voting on those same things. But an individual who is willing to be that voice for our kids and our parents. An individual, which is me. My name is Martinez, and I'm running for school board trustee District 3. And I believe that I possess those qualities necessary to help our schools and our students within this district to prevail for the future.
Thank you. Mrs. Jackson?
Thank you. I'm a proven leader. I've been here 13 years. I stand up when it's my time. I'm here today. I'm at every debate. I haven't seen my opponent here once. She hasn't been in a public school. She's running because the GOP told her to. This is a nonpartisan position. I have delivered partnerships in schools that right now are performing at 85% academic rating, 95% impoverished. People that don't have food on the weekends, 55% English language learners. They need somebody that's 100% in. I'm a hybrid. I have a medical background, I have a business background, I have an education background. I've been a teacher, I've been a principal. Public schools are under attack right now, and this is a nonpartisan job. I don't need rookies. Right now, public education is everything for our kids, and we have to fund it and support it like Texas and the nation depend on it, because indeed they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
Thank you, sir. You should vote for me because I'm a young visionary. I've been in this work, serving the community all as far as from a pastoral standpoint. For 25 years I've been serving. I'm dedicated to moving District 5 forward. I'm dedicated to having safer neighborhoods, working along with the police, and then creating a staff in the community to work along with, to have parks, better parks, recreation, bringing more economic development, bringing more jobs to District 5, and then having leadership that is trustworthy and accountable. Again, to me, you cannot effectively lead people if you never talk with them. So leaders have to learn how to listen as well. It's how to listen to the concerns of the people of District 5 and then advocate for them at City Hall.
Thank you. Mrs. Bivens?
People know me, people trust me. I know city government. My constituents know I'm a fighter. When I learned that we would lose the Richland Hills train station for TRE, I started fighting for it then. There were plans to put it elsewhere, but it's coming to the east side. That's a big deal. We'll have an east leg of Tex Rail. I can tell you, when we had the rains in DR Hart and clear cut trees, I stood with the residents in a press conference against City Hall, calling for more fines, more enforcement, more inspections of our forestry. We'll roll out a plan in May. People know me, they trust me, they know how to call me, and they know where I live.
Thank you. Before I surrender the podium, I'd like to make three very quick thank yous. Number one, thank you goes to our timekeeper, Jason Ray. You might notice that Jason didn't blow any of his lines today. I would like to say thank you to this group. You have been attentive. You have been respectful. And I think that shows how seriously we all take the elections, the positions that are represented by these folks sitting up on stage. The last thank you goes to this panel. You have been respectful of each other. You have been respectful of our time requirements. You have been well-spoken. And maybe most importantly in this day and age, because the electorate is tired, nasty, you have been nice. And we appreciate it. Well, yeah, we're gonna do that, but that's not my fault.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn this back over to Michael Shedd so we can get the great day.
All right, so normally it's our tradition to have our guest speaker help go through the door front, but since we have 12 of them or 11 of them up here, I'm just gonna pick someone out of that audience. Up Dawn. You got Bill up there. Bill, you're on cover? Bill wants to win, so he doesn't. Bill is our PAC president, so I guess Bill is as good a candidate as any to help with the door project. So if you would, you can do the honor, hold them the number.
It is our general habit of giving away door prizes donated by our membership. And it's a wonderful opportunity to have a remembrance of a great meeting. 704 is what we're looking at.
704.
One of our sponsors, Cars for Kids, great sponsor, Baseball and Business Association, has donated a $50 gift card, a Visa gift card, 704, the last three numbers. Oh, that's Bill. Wait a second. The fix is in, folks. Go ahead and call the last three.
747.
7. All right. Recycle that. One of our wonderful members, Cars for Kids, water own donation. We'll do it over.
742. 742.
742.
Well, that's our site plan.
Rick.
All right.
That is not a campaign. We have another $50 gift card for Cars for Kids.
Seven, 2, 8.
All right, Alan. One of our board members. And speaking of Alan, the winner has also donated, Alan Lieber from Texas Wesleyan. Okay, one of our board members has donated a wonderful gift package. Alan, tell us, what is this?
It's a blanket and a tumbler, a cold and hot tumbler.
A blanket.
Because I'm in marketing.
It's all brand. I think this is getting ready for football season.
Ready? 722. 722.
They're not here.
722. One story box. Okay. Seven, 4, 3. 744, 3.
All right, congratulations. Compliments of Bill Swinson. I have tried this wonderful wine. He has great taste. This is a wonderful Italian blend red wine. 7-3-2. 7-3-2. Oh, next. 7-1-7. This is being Easter, we had to get a Snoopy bunny. This is a very special Snoopy bunny from Wanda. Her donation. The last time we had one like this, Frank Moss won it. And didn't know how to turn it off. 7-1-0.
Right, here.
Congratulations.
Here, come
Compliments to our treasurer, Angela Baker, and Southside Bank. Wonderful bottle of wine, white wine. Great. 7-2-6. All right. One of our wonderful all-time sponsors, the Mexican Inn, $25 gift card. 7-5-3. We ain't pleased. And for all of us nuts, a wonderful bag of first class nuts. No jokes about first class nuts, please. 7-0-5. All right. Somebody just take a call. Rick has redonated a $50 gift card.
Oh, thanks, Rick.
So it's back up 7-4-0.
I'll take it.
All right, Jason. Congratulations. We have 2 tickets to the Blossom Gala. These are the folks that planted all the trees. We donated. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. 7-1-2.
Love you.
7.
All right. All right, Mike.
All right.
That's right.
Great. All right. This door prize has been funded by most of our members. This is donated by Gallant Marble and Granite, a marble cutting board. This is the final door prize. Okay. 7-3-1.
7-3-1.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for showing up. I think we have one announcement from Angela. Angela, Thank you all for showing up. I know we're up against your time. Next month, we have President Price coming in to speak with us, before the action block. We hope to see you next month. Thank you for coming out.